Hello and warm welcome to Cricket Unadulterated, a weekly cricket podcast where we'll be discussing cricket and all the drama and excitement surrounding this beautiful game. I'm Abhishek Ambulkar. I'm a software engineer by profession, currently living in Pune. I like to write about cricket when I'm not watching any cricket match or reading any books. So today we'll be discussing the cricket documentaries or docu-series we have watched and you guys can watch during this lockdown period if you're missing the cricket action on the field. So joining me in this podcast are the two of the most passionate cricket followers I know. The fans who can identify the cricket ground and the venue just looking at the sitting arrangement or the stands, the color of the grass or even the drinks which they are serving on the field.
Hey, hi Abhishek. Hello everyone. My name is Atisham. Glad to be a part of this discussion, and I have a confession to make. I'm a big cricket fan, and being a part of this show, I think it's a privilege for me.
Hello guys, this is Manjit Gharpure here. I'm a healthcare professional and thank you Abhishek for having me here. It's really a privilege.
Okay, so Abhishek, I think we should start by discussing a name which is synonymous with Indian cricket, which defines Indian cricket. I think Sachin Tendulkar, and the documentary that was made, A Billion Dreams. I think which is one of the most celebrated documentaries in India and in Indian cricket. I think we should start by discussing that, how a boy from Shivaji Park went to represent India playing at MCG, Lords, the Wankhede Stadium, the Eden Gardens, and holding the heartbeats of a billion people in India over the years, a career spanning over 20 years, 2 decades. I think it is phenomenal, and everyone should have this movie on their watch list. Every Indian should have it.
Atisham, can you please explain what did you find particularly interesting in this documentary?
Yeah, Manjit, it is a very good documentary, and the interesting thing about it is Sachin Tendulkar is himself involved in the making of this documentary. Throughout his career, the various events are explained by himself, the ups and downs in his career, the difficulties he faced, the positive things that he went throughout his career, the difficult times as in when India was involved in a so-called match-fixing scandal that came up in the late 90s, how Tendulkar felt at that time, how he came back and performed really well in the coming years, and how the death of his father affected him while India were playing World Cup in the year 1999, how he came back and performed really well. So how he coped up throughout the various highs and lows in his career, it is very well represented in the documentary, and I think everyone should watch it once to get to know one of the Indians that performed really well in the field of sports in India.
Absolutely, it would be a privilege to get from the man himself. Which is the next documentary we are discussing about?
Abhishek, should we discuss about Fire in Babylon? Because I think it is one of the oldest documentaries made on cricket, and it is about the quartet of fast bowlers of West Indies who dominated world cricket for like 2 decades.
Absolutely, and for those who have watched it, I'm sure they must have spotted a young Jason Holder in the first few minutes of the documentary.
Yes, absolutely.
And it's really a delight to watch.
So before moving on to the Fire in Babylon, just wanted to ask Atisham
Right.
regarding it's interesting that you mentioned that match-fixing incident which plagued the Indian country in 90s, right? So and it was very courageous of Sachin, the leading light, the shining light of Indian cricket, to come forward and talk about that incident. So that was, I felt that needed to be addressed, because many felt that during the darkest hour of Indian cricket, he was very silent, he was not very vocal, and he didn't take a stand. So I'm glad that he has addressed that issue. The next movie which everyone should watch, not just cricket fans but any sports lover will enjoy watching, is Fire in Babylon. So this is another similar movie. West Indies is a group of islands, Guyana, Trinidad and Tobago, Barbados. So they were going through some dark times. they had just won independence in 1960s, if I'm not wrong, 60s, 70s. And after that miserable tour of Australia, where Dennis Lilly and Jeff Thompson, if my memory serves me, they just intimidated these West Indians, with short ball and that infamous bodyline incident just triggered in the minds of the people. So that was another exceptional documentary which was made.
Absolutely, and it summarizes the way West Indies cricket team of the 70s and 80s, how they came up as a unit. They even faced some racist comments from the English side, and have charged them up, and they really made it from they kind of wiped out their underdog tag, and they within years they were one of the strongest pace attacks in the world.
Right. So, Manjeet, when we were talking about this great documentary, which every cricket lover and sports lover will enjoy, I was just thinking about another one of your favorites documentaries. Would you like to, initiate that conversation? Out of the Ashes?
Absolutely. So the documentary Abhishek is mentioning is, of course, Out of the Ashes. It's BBC documentary, and it was shot on cricket team when they were placed in ICC World Cricket League Division 5. So here we are in 2020, and just a fact, they didn't have a cricket team of their own. Just let alone a cricket team, they didn't have a full-fledged cricket body as well. So that's how things were. So it goes back to 1979 when the Soviet Union attacked Afghanistan, and that's when thousands and in fact millions of Afghans took refuge in Pakistan towards the northwestern city of Peshawar. So there's this refugee camp in Peshawar. It's called Kachagadi Refugee Camp. It won't be wrong to call it the cricket, because of course, as we know, Pakistan is a full member of the ICC that plays test cricket. So Pakistan already had a well-established cricket culture, and most of the players we have in the Afghanistan cricket team right now, they were born as refugees in the refugee camp of Peshawar, and basically that's where they learned cricket. They started watching and playing cricket despite living in the of course, a refugee camp is not the place you would want to take birth at. But despite the adverse conditions, in fact, in this book called, of course, we have this documentary called Out of the Ashes, and I purchased a book of the same name. Basically, the book and the documentary, they go hand in hand. So there's this instance mentioned in the book Out of the Ashes. That's when it mentions that the players didn't. One fine day, the players were short of money to buy a new bat. So what they did was, in Pakistan, there's this culture that if in a graveyard there is some funeral procession place, sort of just the way we have Rudalis here in some parts of India. So it's a culture that anyone joining the funeral procession, they are given some kind of alms, or as we can call it, a tip sort of.
Okay.
So when the players didn't have money to buy new cricket gear like bat and ball and wickets, so the players joined a burial procession. They cried for the departed soul. They were given some money by the family of the deceased, and from that money they bought their new bats and balls and stumps. So
well, that's
this
quite
is the kind of
heart-wrenching.
So this is a team which is a test-playing nation now. It has a full-fledged cricket body and a team that has played one test match so far. But can you imagine, just 2 decades back, they were living in the worst of conditions, and this is how they managed bucks to buy new cricket equipment.
Yeah, correct. So, Etisham, would you like to add something to this beautiful story, this heartwarming story?
So I believe that I haven't watched much of it to begin with, but what I could understand by what Manjeet said was, it is all about passion you have for a game or a sport or any other thing that you are involved with, and passion brings in determination, and results come if you are focused in doing a certain thing. So with Afghanistan cricket, they were really focused on cricket, and what they've achieved is very commendable. And I think no nation has seen such a progress as witnessed by Afghanistan in the last 2 decades, as mentioned by Manjeet. And I think it is a very inspiring documentary, and one should really, if they want a inspiration in life and they relate to cricket, they should go for it, and they should, I think, really watch it once.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
if we talk about this documentary, Manjeet, and it would be grossly unfair if we don't talk about the father of Afghanistan cricket, Taj Malik. What an inspiration he has
Absolutely.
been.
Yes, it won't be wrong to call him the father of Afghan cricket. Of course, he's not so much active in the field of cricket right now. I think he was their assistant coach during the 2010 T20 World Cup, but then he later on gave up coaching and administration for religious purposes. But again, full credit goes to him. In fact, he fought against the system and the culture to, first of all, establish a cricket body, manage funding, inspire the players. Had Taj Malik not taken all these efforts, we wouldn't have witnessed such a brilliant rise of the Afghanistan cricket team.
Yes, so guys and all the listeners who are listening to this podcast, if you are looking to watch this brilliant documentary on Afghanistan cricket, you can go ahead and watch it on YouTube. I think the full movie is available on YouTube. I think free of cost. So you can watch this movie and tell us your views, what you thought about this movie, and if it has inspired you in some way or the other.
Okay, so I think we should discuss about another documentary that is made on a documentary, or you can say a feature film that is made on Indian cricketer. I'm talking about MS-D, The Untold Story, about the ex-Indian captain, how he came through the ranks and guided India to 2 World Cups and a Champions Trophy victory. People call him the Destiny's Child. In the movie, it is portrayed how his childhood was, how he was inspired to play cricket, and how he came from a football background and then started playing cricket and excelled in the later years of his career, and how he was not bothered about being left out of under-19 World Cup squad that saw Yuvraj Singh, the likes of Yuvraj Singh and Mohammad Kaif play in the year 2000,
Right.
and how he came back after that and dominated Indian cricket, was a regular keeper for Indian cricket to start with, and then went on to become the captain, winning his first tournament in his first captaincy stint. Believe me, in the movie it is portrayed, and it is known that MS Dhoni was not a captain of any team before being a captain of India in 2007, and he went on to win the World Cup with a very young team, then was given the captaincy of Test and ODI teams as well, went on to win the 2011 Cricket World Cup, which India won after 28 years.
One criticism which the Indian audience felt while watching the movie was that it is more of a hagiography. So, I mean, it ends at 2000 after 2011 triumph, so India lifting the World Cup.
Yeah. Just to address
Yeah.
that issue, I think it wasn't made as a documentary to begin with, like what A Billion Dreams was made as. This was made as a feature film. It doesn't even talk about his glory years as much as it should have. It is just about the struggle that he went through, starting as a cricketer and then going on to win 2 World Cups. That is only portrayed in the movie. You see the movie, you think about his cricketing career, there's not much of it. There's not much of his international stint involved in the movie. It is just a struggle that he went through
Right.
when he started with cricket. And 2011 is portrayed as an ending to just portray a high point in the movie. And because the movie was conceived in 2015, his career was still going on. It was impossible to decide where to end on with.
One point I wanted to add is that I think it was okay for the directors to end the movie at the 2000, because anyway, winning the World Cup is considered to be a zenith as far as the cricketing world is concerned, because that's the
Absolutely.
single biggest achievement you can have.
Yes.
And I think going on any further would have sort of distorted the story, because I think it's already, of course, there's some time constraints when you make a feature film, because again, as you guys mentioned, there's an entertainment factor. So I think it was okay for the director to end the movie at the 2011 World Cup victory.
Right. I think there's one more Roar of the Lion. I think is it a documentary movie or a docu-series?
Yes, I was about to bring that up. Roar of the Lion was made as a documentary on CSK. It was about their comeback after the 2-year ban they faced on the potential charges of match fixing. So how they came back, how the team management got involved with the team, how they motivated them, how they played. In 2018, a year in which CSK was called as Daddy's Army because of the age of the players involved. The average age was the highest amongst the team by a very large number. Compared when you talk about cricket, everyone was about in their 33s or 35s. So being an old team, concerning fitness issues, how they went on to win the Cup IPL in 2018, how Dhoni, Stephen Fleming, their coach, inspired every one of the player, how every player with their experience understood their value for the team. The performance that they brought in was commendable, and the journey throughout the IPL was covered. How they traveled with their families and still were focused on cricket, and the camaraderie in the team in 2018, that was really well portrayed in the documentary. It is not a documentary, you can call it in this new age and generation, you can call it a watchable series at least. So I think it is a must watch for every CSK, Dhoni or an Indian cricket fan, and it's really good. I really liked it.
Absolutely. And
I think there's one more film made. Yeah, Manjit, go.
No, I don't have much to add, but because it was a dream comeback for the CSK, I'll make it a point to watch it.
Mumbai Indians have also done something similar on Netflix. I think Cricket Fever is one of the like proper 8-part like TV series kind of format which they have adopted. You know, behind the scenes, what goes on in the dressing room. Or the training. I think they have covered that aspect of Mumbai Indians, similar to what you were talking about.
I think they have portrayed the culture really well, the culture that Mumbai Indians follow, how the team bonding goes through, how the owners are involved, how with the team, and how they direct the team throughout a particular IPL season. It is very well portrayed in the series that is there on Netflix, as you talked about, and it is based on the similar year on which CSK's documentary is made, 2018. So 2018 IPL season, we have 2 documentaries based on CSK and one is based on Mumbai Indians. So you can watch it parallelly and you can relate events because it is made based on the same season of IPL.
So that was about IPL. And going back now, almost a century back, let's talk about the Bodyline series, one of the most infamous incidents which took place in 1933, 1934. I think MCC's England Stores of Australia. So I think such was the genius and brilliance of Bradman in 1930s that the MCC had to resort to this tactic. I think many in MCC denied this claim. Many in opposition, in power, they said that they had not instructed the captain and the bowler to resort to these tactics. But who knows what happened? Yeah, I think there are 2 to 3 documentaries available right now on YouTube. One is the one which has been made by ABC, and the other one is made by BBC. You can watch it. And one good aspect about BBC documentary as compared to ABC, which I watched recently, is that it is made in proper, docu-series format. So you can actually have the actors portraying Don Bradman. You have actors portraying Douglas Jardine, Harold. I think the bowler who was instrumental in this tactic. So Harold Larwood, I think. So you can watch this these 2 to 3 versions. It is readily available on YouTube.
Okay. So I think We have talked about individual player documentaries and team documentaries of Afghanistan and that of Bodyline series. Then we should also talk about a recently made and more synonymous documentary related to cricket today. That is The Test, which was released on Amazon Prime a few months ago, and it covered how Australia, being a world dominant nation, fell into what you can say a match fixing or sport fixing scandal in Cape Town. The documentary is based on how they came out of it and how they came back, and 1.5 years later were able to retain the Ashes playing in England. So I think we should talk about it as well.
Yeah, I can't imagine. Imagine some Indian player indulging in that sort of tactic and getting banned for a year, almost a year and a half. So I can't see that happening in Indian cricket. Do you think it is possible?
It is all about ifs and buts. I am not sure about it, what would have been done, but Australia took a very harsh step. I think it was the effect of the sentiments, how it coped up with the Australian cricket fans, how the cricket-related fraternity felt about it, and I think they were really shocked about what went through in Cape Town, and the punishment was an outcome of it.
Maybe it's just the way the Australians like to play their cricket. They like to be, very very aggressive and play hard cricket, tough cricket. So for them, for their leading players to do and indulge in this kind of activity was really, made the fans angry. So that was like completely unacceptable for the fans to see. That resulted in this harsher and strict punishment. It's available on Amazon Prime. It's a very thrilling series you can watch, and every episode ends on a cliffhanger note. So, and it was really good to see, the actual what is going actually in the dressing room behind the scenes of what Justin Langer, the head coach of Australian cricket team, is saying to its team, and even the captain. It was not very easy for the captain to come out this whole fiasco. So that was really commendable. The way Steve Smith came back, the way David Warner came back, and always they were facing a lot of boos and a lot of taunts from the crowd. It was really heartening to see. Actually, opposition captain had to, calm down the crowds in England, sometimes in Australia. So that was not good to see. David Warner breaking down in press conference, Steve Smith crying like a baby. That was really heartbreaking to see.
Absolutely, and then making a comeback in front of an English crowd, which is considered as one of the most brutal ones in world cricket. So they have the they taunt you, they boo you, they make life very tough for you. And despite that, Steven Smith, the way he came back and scored, I guess he scored 2 centuries in the same test match, in both innings of the test match. It was actually so unbelievable to watch. After serving a ban, coming onto the international stage and scoring 2 centuries on English soil. Actually very commendable.
Correct. So I think we have covered a lot of docu-series for our listeners today. I think it's the right time now, like with the lockdown going on and no cricket action. People can actually go ahead and watch these series we have recommended, or if the listeners have any other documentaries relating to not just cricket but any other sports, they can go ahead and recommend to us at the Cricket Unadulterated platform on Twitter and Facebook. So guys, please feel free to give us the feedback on this podcast, like where we can improve. And I would like to thank Manjeet and Etisham for joining this podcast and discussing what we're passionate about. Thank you, Manjeet, Etisham.
Thank you so much, Abhishek. And one thing I would like to mention before we end our podcast, it just struck my mind as you were mentioning documentaries related to other sports. So there is this Disney movie from 1993 which I watched. It's called Cool Runnings.
And Okay.
It's called Cool Runnings. It's based on the Jamaican bobsled team. So can you imagine a hot country like Jamaica competing in
Oh my
Winter
God,
Olympics?
that is so hard to imagine. So,
So actually, it was difficult. So this is another. I would compare it to Out of the Ashes. In fact, in the preface of Out of the Ashes, the author has made a reference to this movie, Cool Runnings. Speaking of underdog teams making it big
Okay.
at the global stage. So this is one movie I would strongly recommend. Apart from cricket, it's based on the Jamaican bobsled team and how they managed to make it to the, I think, 1988 Winter Olympics in Calgary.
right, it is sounding fascinating.
So this is one
Yeah,
document.
it sounds very intriguing and interesting. We always like a good underdog story. So, on that note,
Absolutely, we all common for them.
on that note, I think it's time for us to wrap up this first episode of Cricket Unadulterated. I hope you enjoyed this show. Thank you so much. Till then, stay tuned. Bye.